I'm Craig McLean and welcome to episode 27 of the Mk1 Escort RS2000 reassembly. Now I'd love to say this video was going to be every bit as interesting as the last one was when we got the car down on its wheels for the first time, but quite frankly I'd be telling a lie because that was a very good episode, one I enjoyed very much myself, and unfortunately now we've got to concentrate on some of the less interesting things. So in this episode you'll mostly see the dash switches being refurbished, and also I'll give you a little bit of an update on the camber caster issue that we're still having, but I'm well on the way to resolving. Now you'll have probably seen in past videos, young Freddie from next door, the little lad that you'll see running around on the videos. He watches the videos, and due to the fact that he's used to using FaceTime, he always says, you know, hello to me on the videos, but can't understand why I can't obviously say hello back. So hello Freddie, obviously I can't hear you, but yeah, just a shout out to Freddie. So anyways, we'll crack on with some of the jobs I've just listed and give you a bit of an update on the camber caster issue. Now then, moving on to something slightly different from wheels in this episode. This is something I picked up at the GS Open Day. Picked these up from GS Escorts, obviously, which is a full set of switches. I've got them all, other than twin speed wiper switch, which I've got my eye on one on eBay. I'm hopefully going to win that today. So what we have here is heated window switch. I know it's got the red identifier for the light instead of orange, and it should be orange, but I'm not too worried about that because I need two heated window switches, one for the front heated window, one for the rear, so at least the different colour lenses will help identify the different windows so I don't get mixed up. So I'll probably use red for the front and orange for the back as it was originally. Then we've got a hazard switch. I still haven't got the loom for the hazard warning lights yet, but I've got the switch. We've got twin speed fan switch and headlights. As I say, the only one I don't have is the wipers. Now, you're probably looking at them thinking, are you really going to fit them to your car? Well, the answer is no, and I'm hoping to show you a little bit of detail as to how I'm going to get around that in this episode. Now then, I'm sure you'll agree, that looks far better. They are brand new switch housings. So these are complete switches, the old ones. These ones are just empty housings. There's nothing inside. And all you do, I'm told it's fairly straightforward, is you take the guts out of your original switches and you pop them into your new housings. I'm hoping it's straightforward enough. I've never done one of these with an Escort switch before. I have had mini switches in bits in the past. I've cleaned the contacts up on mini switches many times and they're not too bad to do. There is the odd spring etc in them that you've got to be careful of, but they're generally not too bad. But I'll try and capture a little bit of footage of me swapping one of these switches over, and fingers crossed that they're not too bad to do. And hopefully in the end we'll end up with a beautiful set of switches that can get fitted into the car. Right, that's one down. I'll try and show you a little bit of footage on the next one, but that's one replaced. I'm not going to lie, they are very fiddly. It works fine. It actually has two positions now, which I'm not sure whether it did before, but time will tell when we come to use it. You've just got to take your time and make sure you get the little retaining clips in there as well before you clip the back in. But yeah, it's didn't take too long, maybe 3 or 4 minutes per switch so far. But I've probably started the worst one because look at the amount of pins on the back of that. The rest should be hopefully easier than this one. It's just been really methodical and laying things out in order on the bench to make sure you get them right in the right place. I don't know if you can see there in the bottom right corner, there's a Ford badge. So I put the letter F on the new switch so that I knew that the Ford badge went to that end of the switch. Little things like that just as a reminder. So let's get on and do the rest. Right, next switch up is the twin speed heater. Again, I'm going to sit them back to back. And you can see there's a Ford badge there. So as I did before, I'm going to put the letter F on this side of the switch, just so I know which way that goes. when I come to put it back together. My memory isn't the best, so I'll lay that out. So all I did before was, according to the instructions, you just pop a screwdriver in here, pop it, lift the gubbins out, retaining clips out, put the retaining clips into your new switch, and this one does look a little bit more straightforward than the one I've just done. There's a lot more parts to the one I've just done. This one has got a lot less components inside. Don't speak too soon, Craig. So there's the gubbin to the switch. Really straightforward, that, compared to the one I've just done. You sit that in place. As you can see, that rocks on the switch. Then you take your back, F, Ford, place that in, clip, and there we go. That's all there is to it. It switches as it should. It's a little bit stiffer to switch than the other one, but that's obviously because everything on this is new and not worn, I would imagine. I can't imagine that won't work, because I've put it back together exactly as it was. Time will obviously tell, but that is one switch swapped over, and as you can see, it looks far, far better. And the last little thing I just do with each switch is just give them a bit of a clean. Get all the muck out the original back plate, make sure they're all nice and clean, using a pair of the wife's old Minnie Mouse pyjamas. And there we go, one full set of switches. Another little thing I think is worth doing, I should have done it from on the first switch, I didn't, I've done it since. Do a continuity test on the pins on the back before you strip it down and after. Remember what should have continuity and when, and then when you put it back together, you know that the switch is working as it should. That's really easy with things like the heated window switch, because they've only got 2 pins on or off. When it comes to the hazard warning light switch, which I did first, as you can see, multiple pins. It would be really difficult to remember what was what with that, so I'll just have to hope for the best with that one. But yeah, so we've got our rear heated window switch, looking absolutely mint. That will be the original one with the orange or the amber light. I'll leave that as it was. The front one, they never really had a heated front windscreen, so I'm going to make that the red one so I can differentiate between the two. So I'll make the front heated window the one closest to me, and then the one right next to it will be for the rear. We've got our headlight switch. Again, I checked continuity on the pins on them before and after. That's now working perfectly. We've got our twin speed heater fan. Same again, it's working great. We've got our hazards, like I say, I didn't check the pins on that first, and I don't know whether it did have 2 positions before or not. But time will tell. And our wiper switch, I'm still waiting of a switch to swap the gubbins over from. That's our full set of switches. I'm really, really pleased with that. I'm now going to get them fitted into the car and hope that they fit properly, because as I'm learning with these classic Fords, I thought it was just the Minis that were like this, but it isn't. As I'm learning with classic Fords, absolutely nothing ever fits as you expect. I used to think it was just a Mini thing, and now I'm realising it's probably all classics. Everything's exactly the same, nothing ever fits as you expect. But anyways, another little thing just before I go and fit them. This one is far, far trickier to swap the gubbins over on. You've got to open these side leaves out to get that plate to drop in, and you do honestly think you're going to crack them because you have to bend them out so far. It's nerve-wracking, but I did manage to get that in without breaking anything, thankfully. So yeah, Now I've got a full set of beautiful switches, which should look absolutely fantastic in my nicely refurbished dash. And there we go, guys. That's 3 of the 6 switches in. So on the left, I fitted the blank. That is where eventually the hazard warning switch will go. And then the next one along, we've got fan switch, 2-speed. And then we've got our 2 heated windows. The rear one is to the left, and the front one is to the right. The only thing I need for that switch, if anyone's got one, it's like a little black tube that slides in from the back with a bulb in, and it lights up that little indicator. This one's got it. This has got the little bulb in, but this one hasn't. I just need that little tube with the bulb in. If you've got one lying around, please let me know. I'll certainly buy it off you. This one here will be for the wipers. I haven't got the wiper switches yet. I'm going to bid on that today, as I mentioned before. And then over here, I was hoping to fit the headlight switch, and I do believe this is the wrong plug. I think this is the earlier plug. The pin configuration's different, and the pin openings are too small. So the pins on the switch are too fat to fit into them connectors. So I'm going to have to see if I can find a headlight switch. I've got a mate who's helped me out with some switch, some plugs just recently. I'll probably have a chat with him. But yeah, that's a fantastic step forward. If only we could have got them all finished, it would have been a bit better, but never mind. So if you do want a set of these switches, they're on eBay. They aren't cheap. They're about £95 for the set. But what you've got to remember is someone's went to the hassle of either having these reproduced or finding old ones and refurbishing them. And if it wasn't for people like that, we would have to make do with tatty second-hand stuff. So yeah, you pay £95 for a new set of switch enclosures, but I think it's well worth it because it just transforms the car and it looks far, far better. I mean, take a look at this. There's the old ones sitting alongside the new ones. So the 3 I haven't got fitted yet, and all the old enclosures. And, you know, can you imagine fitting them into your dash of a car that you've just restored? You know, it's fantastic that you can still get these. So yeah, if you do want a set of them, like I said, they are on eBay. Just type in Mk1 Escort headlight dash switches, and it'll come up with various different sets. There's different combinations of how many you can buy, and I think you can even buy them individually as well. While we're in this area, that's the car that inspired me in the first place. I think I've maybe showed you guys this before. That's Stephen Spencer's Escort Cosworth powered Mk1 Escort. That's running 16-inch image wheels, and I seen that at a show many years ago, and I absolutely loved everything about it. I've been in love with that car ever since, and that is where I got my inspiration from to build my own. So yeah, that's dash switches out the way for now until we hopefully get the new wiper switch today and a different plug to fit the other one, and obviously the loom. I need a little sub loom for the hazards. Right guys, bit of an update on some parts that's just arrived. I did say I wasn't going to fit adjustable top mounts, but having shortened the length of the bottom track control arms ever so slightly to bring the wheel back into alignment, it's then caused another issue in the fact that the anti-roll bar then pushes the wheel further back in the car, which makes the wheel catch the back of the arch dramatically, whereas as it is now, we've hardly got any contact at all. It's minimal, and I can easily rectify that. So in the end, after a long, hard look at it and scratching my head, I've decided that adjustable top mounts is the only option. So I've got 2 of these. I'm going to get on and fit them today. They do camber adjustment, and the holes around the outside, you can also adjust your caster as well. So you can do your camber and your caster to get it exactly right. So they came from Motorsport Tools. A pair of them came from Motorsport Tools. And then the problem was, the hole in the centre, obviously, is far too big for the shaft on my coilovers. So I did order the threaded insert from Motorsport Tools, which came, but it was for the Group 4 shockers, basically, and had a massive thread, far too big for my coilovers. So I got in touch with the guy who made my coilovers, a guy called Kevin Paul. A lot of people have seen him on Escorts. He builds absolutely fantastic struts for people, and he told me I need a set of these. So these come from Rally Design, and they basically slot one in the top, one in the bottom, and you drill the hole in the centre out to whatever size you need. So it comes with a 10mm pilot hole. I need to drill that out to 11.5, but that's no problem at all. So if anyone else is looking at fitting a set of adjustable top mounts with Bilstein coilovers, you'll need a set of them from Raleigh Design. They're only about £6 odd. So that's good. At least I've got them now and the top hats to get all that lot fitted today. Another little thing I've just received, you'll have heard me saying just earlier in the video that I had my eye on a windscreen wiper switch from eBay, and this was an absolute bargain. I ended up winning this for £10 in the end. I was the only bidder. So that's just obviously the empty housing. I've swapped all the guts into the new housing, but brilliant, absolute bargain to get an original switch for £10. And now I've swapped the guts over, as you see me do in the other one, into the new housing. That operates brilliantly. I've tested it before and after, and it works absolutely brilliantly. So yeah, that's another little job I can get on with. Right guys, the caster camber issue continues. On this side, as you can see, we've now got that top adjustable mount fitted. This side is perfect. I've got the bottom arm. You'll remember I said just before there, I cut 5mm out of one side of the arm and 5mm out the other to give me 10mm extra extra movement. Well, I've actually now adjusted the bottom arm on this side back to its original settings, because that's where it should be, and that is now adjusted up, and we've got the perfect 1.3 degrees camber. That's brilliant. That was no problem at all, that side. And as you can see, more or less where the strut is in the right location. It's where it should be. But if we go to the other side, look how far left it is. Look at the gap in here. I can get my finger in. Compare it to the other side, and I can hardly even get the edge of my finger in. But over here, we've got this massive big gap. I can get my full finger in. That's maxed out, and the bottom arm is screwed right in. So right away, it starts telling you we've got issues here, because we've still got far too much negative camber on this side, even with that top mount maxed out. So it's been a bit of a head scratching exercise. I've had two very good friends over, Anthony and Steve Buchanan, and we've both looked at it, and what we've discovered is if you put a block of wood between the rim on the wheel at this side, on the inner edge of the wheel, and the strut, so the gap between the top of the rim and the strut, I can get a piece of 40mm wood in with barely any wiggle room. It fits in snug. If I go to this side, that same piece of wood fits in, and I can get my finger down the side as well, which tells me that the strut on this side is holding the wheel further in at the top. So we've got more negative camber on this side before I adjust anything than the other side, which is about right, because you'll remember when I put it down on the ground a few weeks ago, this side had major negative camber. It was very, very obvious to the eye that this side had way more than the other side. And further inspection has found that the Bilstein strut on this side has got a bit of a bend in it, which is absolutely gutting, because they're beautifully built by Kevin Paul from Escorts. I've absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Kevin did not know this one was bent, because he's an absolute cracking guy. So I got back in touch with Kevin, and for personal reasons that I can't share on the channel, Kevin's going to produce me one, but it'll take him quite a few weeks, and they are very, very, very legitimate reasons. And I've said to Kevin, it takes as long as it takes. Some things are much more important than cars, and this is definitely one of them. So Kevin's very kindly agreed to make me another one up, and he's apologised for the fact that it's bent, and it's not his fault. He will not have known. I know for a fact he will not have known that was bent, because you've got to really look at it and examine it to see the bend. You've actually got to use a straight edge to highlight it. So yeah, Kevin's actually sending me pictures. I'll let you see them, the stage by stage of this strut being built up, and then hopefully when we get this strut swapped over, that'll bring that wheel back into alignment, and I'll be able to adjust the top mount so it matches the other side. So unfortunately, we're going to have to leave caster, camber and tracking there for now, and concentrate on some other things. But as soon as I get the other strut, I'll keep you updated, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have some success this next time. Right, I owe a couple of people an absolute huge thank you. The first one being Clayton Wolno. I hope I've spelt your name correctly, Clayton. And Clayton sent me these two plugs after I was talking with him through Facebook Messenger, I've actually become quite decent friends with Clayton. Clayton's building an absolute stunning twin cam style Mk1 Escort, and if I'm honest, I would say it's probably even more finicky and picky than I am, because the build's absolutely beautiful. And Clayton's got a brand new loom for his car, and he's kindly cut me a couple of the plugs that I need out of his old loom and sent me them for absolutely no fee whatsoever. So that was really nice of Clayton. So that's the one for the gauges. Mine has loads of separate cables. I will be able to cut this back, dress it in, solder, heat shrink, dress it back into the loom, and you'll never know it's been added. Same with the ignition plug. Mine's got the old style ignition plug, so Clayton sent me them 2 plugs, which is absolutely fantastic. I bought these off Clayton as well. These are obviously your internal winders and door openers, and they are in remarkable condition compared to some of mine. So I'm going to make the best setup between what I've got. I think I've already got a real good one of them. That one's a real good one, and I think my 2 window winders are rough. So if I swap all them over, I can make a real mint set between them. They just need a little bit of a polish up, and that's absolutely fantastic. So thanks to Clayton for that. And then these plugs, I put a post on Classic Ford Restoration saying I needed a couple of plugs for the internal switches in the dash, because again, my loom had the original old style white plugs, which do not fit the new style switches. And David Bennett very, very, very kindly cut these out of an old loom and sent me them, again, free of charge. Didn't charge me a thing. I said to him, I'll quite happily send you the postage to cover it, as I did with Clayton, and he wouldn't. And I really can't thank both of you guys enough. I really can't. The generosity is absolutely fantastic. It really is. I can't thank them 2 guys enough. You meet some fantastic people in this with this hobby. You really do. You meet some absolutely amazing people. Don't get me wrong. They're not all as nice as these 2 guys. You do get some knobs as well. But most of the people I meet in this within this hobby are absolutely fantastic, and these 2 guys are just a prime example. And here's just a little bit of footage to show how I joined these plugs up. So as you can see there, beautifully soldered in, and I actually always double heat shrink them as well. I put 2 layers on so that we don't get any shorting anywhere. So that's the one for the heater, the 2-speed heater, and that's the plug that was on it. That's the early style, the wrong type. So as you can see, I've had to swap them to the correct plugs to fit the switches. And the old mat, as you can see there, the one that I got sent wrong, comes in really handy to stop getting hot solder onto your good carpet, because hot solder, as I found out in the past, absolutely destroys your carpet. So yeah, it's always worth putting something down just to protect your decent carpets. So yeah, that's now ready to be loomed back in, as I have already with that one there. And we've got one more to do for the headlights, and then I can get the switches fitted. And there is that very plug loomed back in, and you wouldn't even know now that it had been replaced. It just looks part of the car, which is the whole idea, to try and make it look original. And there's today's little bit of progress. We've now got all the switches, obviously with the exception of the hazard switch that I keep saying I need the loom for. I'm going to have to get that ordered. On the other side, we've also got the headlight switch. That's now got the correct plug and is connected up, and that went in really nice. Obviously the correct plugs fit the switches properly. I did manage to make the old style plug fit that switch, but it wasn't great. I thought, I can't leave that like that, and I was never going to leave that like that. So yeah, that's all the switches fitted now. Obviously I've got various new plugs to loop all this lot into. I'll do another time. That's the very old style ignition switch, which will be getting changed for the modern one I've just showed you earlier. And then obviously the clocks will go in there, and we'll get that all buttoned up. And then we've obviously got the trims to put on, which I'm going to make in real carbon fibre, and the original cigarette lighter to fit, which I need to source as well. So I fitted the window winders and openers that I showed you just before there, that came from Clayton. As you can see, they look now mint. Now if I pick the worst one of the ones I had on, you'll see the difference. Now that's exactly why I said in a previous video that I wouldn't be leaving them on. I was never going to leave them on. They just weren't quite good enough. In fact, quite a bit off, to be honest. So yeah, big thanks to Clayton for supplying me with some spares that he had. But as you can see, They are really nice. So I've now got a full decent set. Even the other side, they're both really good as well. There's no pitting on any of them now. So yeah, it's nice to have a decent set. It's just a small step in progress, but it all brings completion of the car. I'll just keep chipping away at it, and one of these days we'll hit the road. Well guys, that's the end of another episode. Thanks very much again to David and Clayton for the items I listed earlier that they sent me. I really do appreciate it. Just the other day there, we hit, well, it's the other week actually rather, we hit 4,000 subscribers, and after the last video where we fitted the wheels, we're actually now up to 4,100 and I think it's 40 odd, 50, something like that. The views and the likes and subscribers are just shooting up. Absolutely amazing. Thanks very much for the support. I really do appreciate the support. It's fantastic. Probably in the next episode you'll see me doing a little bit of fueling. I need to get on with the fueling system, get the fuel pump fitted, get everything ready for firing this car up, because we aren't a million miles away now, other than finishing the fueling system and the breathers, adding a couple of fluids into the diff, the gearbox and the engine. We're probably then ready to crank it over. So that's what we're going to be working to now. We're going to be getting a lot of them little jobs out the way to get this car running. Hopefully in the next 2 episodes you'll hopefully hear a tune out of it. So yeah, I'll leave this video here guys. Thanks very much for your support, as I mentioned before. I really do appreciate it. The 4,000 subscribers. When I started out YouTube, I never dreamed I'd be anywhere near 4,000 subscribers, because I have good friends who've been doing it for many years who are nowhere near 4,000 subscribers. And you know, I can only imagine it's down to the fact that it's a very popular car. It's very well followed. It's got a hell of a lot of followers all over the world. I know I get a lot of comments and you know, the likes from people as far as New Zealand and Australia. Just shows how, you know, how big the following is, and Ireland. Obviously the classic Fords are massive in Ireland as well. So thanks very much guys. I'll see you very shortly, where we'll hopefully be concentrating on fueling. See you next time.